and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of MovieByte. I am your host, Ruben, and with me, my brother in arms, the Russian. And
Hello,
today,
everybody. Yes,
today,
we have a special presentation for you guys. We're going to be digesting one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's Gravity.
it's a really your favorite movie of all time.
It's one of my most yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick to that. I'm not gonna back down from. I rewatched it again. I've seen this movie. I mean, I played this movie hundreds of times. I've probably seen it
I,
dozens
I
of times, but
I believe you.
it's the movie I go to when I'm a little bit buzzed. Okay, we know that's not true when I'm completely fucked
He's
yeah,
sober. He doesn't drink, ladies and gentlemen,
at all.
at all. He doesn't drink water.
Well, today I am. But yes, this is the movie I play, and I just fall asleep, and I wake up to, the beautiful Sandra Bullock dangling in space.
All right. So a little bit about this movie for those who haven't seen it. Released in 2013, and it was written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón, famous Mexican director who's known for a lot of good projects. Spanish movie called Y Tu Mamá También. The latest Roma that's on Netflix, and in the more mainstream area, we have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It was his.
Children of Men, sir. Children of Men. That was.
Let's hold on. I'm Children of Men. Yes, he directed Children of Men, but out of the entire population of the United States, most likely people have seen Prisoner of Azkaban first before they've seen Children of Men. Okay.
Probably.
All right. So that's why I was saying that he's known most likely for Prisoner of Azkaban. Yes, that is not his best movie, in my opinion.
Gravity is his best movie.
Oh, God damn it. I'm about to hang out this damn podcast.
This is going to be the shortest podcast.
It's not. Okay. In my opinion, his best movie, obviously, Y Tu Mamá También, which is a Spanish film that he did with Diego Luna and I forgot the other name, Gabriel Garcia, who also he played one of the voices in Coco, and Diego Luna was in Rogue One, right? But then obviously the other movie that I like about Alfonso Cuarón will be Children of Men with Clive Owen and Julianne Moore. Very, very good movie. For those who haven't seen it, have an opportunity to check it out. And then my least favorite movie, if you already heard, it is Gravity. All right. So like the Russian, yeah,
which has 7 nominations for the Oscar. I will explain to you how. The sound editing is fantastic. The visuals are magnificent. I don't know why people been telling me that they don't like the visuals. I think CGI there is top notch. I will take Gravity over any Transformers on any given day, and I know how much you love your Transformers. Yes, $100 million budget. I mean, everything is pretty much 90% is CGI. They had to wait for the technology to catch up. That movie was written in 2009, and it took them 4 years to either make their own stuff to film this movie, and I believe a lot of stuff which Cameron did on Avatar, they kind of like inherited that and made it possible. Gruesome filming, from what I understand. Like Sandra Bullock had to be like in this specifically designed cage for this movie where they filmed all the stuff where like you have the camera movement, you have the lights and all of that. It's been a really delightful for me personally to research all these aspects, because when I watch the movie, I just watch it and I like it. But when we have to do these shows, you go and you dig, you look at the script and you look at how it's been done, and you look at the funny facts. And it's quite a backstory when it comes down to this movie. But yeah, summarizing the plot, which who have seen it and who haven't, but I'm pretty sure that most of you guys who watch our movies, our podcast, that you see the movies we talk about. It's the biologist who is working on Hubble telescope, which I'll give you, like, there's a lot of holes in this whole story. But for some reason, they have a biologist who is doing some kind of prototype. They're putting it in the Hubble telescope. Her name is Ryan Stone. It's a protagonist that we're going to be following through the direction of only 90 minutes. It's a very short film.
Thank God.
And you got George Clooney, who is playing Matt Kowalski. This is his last mission, as we get to know from the mission control in the beginning of the movie, where he's trying to break the record of the most time spent in space. The record belongs to Anatoly, the Russian, which, I mean, he's just mentioned as an astronaut who has the longest record being in space. And this is how the movie begins. In the first shot is like it's ridiculously long. It's like a 12-minute shot of just you see the Earth from the orbit. You see this hurricane forming, and then you see the mainland, and them just floating in space. I mean, it's magnificent. Like again, like I'm gonna be repeating myself a lot of times, but the shots in this movie are just heartwarming for me. So anyway, what happens is that one of the, I guess, Russian satellites, Russians are always the bad guys, even in the movies, then they don't exist, but their satellites gets blown up and the pieces are running around the orbit. I believe it's Kepler's effect. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but I believe that's what this phenomenon is called. And they're orbiting, at a very high speeds. All of that debris is flying towards the spaceship, and it gets hit, and it's a very gruesome scene where the things are blowing up, like it reminds me of Michael Bay a little bit, but in space, obviously. So
Michael Bay has better movies.
Okay, easy now, all right. You're gonna get the chance to fire bullets. Just
all right,
give me a second, like. So yes, so. At this point, we have Ryan Stone, Bullock character, just kind of floating away on this arm when we hear in her radio Kowalski saying, "Hey, detach, I'm losing you. You're going to float too far away, and I'm not going to be able to save you." So she's detaching, and she's spinning around. This is when Ruben gets motion sickness and decides that this is not for his stomach. But anyway, she finally grasps the situation where she's at. She gives the coordinates. Kowalski comes, picks her up. Now they kind of getting their way back to what is left from their spacecraft, and this is where the story of the character kind of begins for us. So I say this is the story within the story. Like the big picture, what we see is Ryan getting back to the motherland, or getting back to Earth. Like she's jumping from Soyuz to the Chinese. I can't pronounce that station name, but it's a Chinese station, and then getting to the Earth. So that's her story, and that's the obstacles she as a protagonist is dealing with on the physical level. On the emotional level, we find out in this beginning scenario that she's here because she lost her daughter. It was a very basic and very tragic accident where she just slipped, she fell, and that was it. And at the time that happened, Ryan was driving, so that's in her mind, that's all she's doing. She's driving, and she has this obviously big void inside of her from losing her daughter, and through the movie we find out that she's truly alone when she's in a station kind of giving up on life. You can hear her saying, like, nobody mourn for me, nobody will pray for me, and I don't even know how to pray. And she talks to this voice on the radio, which cannot really understand her or hear her. Will you pray for me, or will you teach me how to pray? So this is the other side of the story. And Cuarón himself, he said that outer space it's a metaphor for the inner space of our character. So the the story which we follow is obviously her trying to escape space, but she also trying to escape that void and fill that gap, and trying to figure out how to live after, you know, her daughter passed away. There's also like incredible scene when Matt Kowalski, well, George Clooney is kind of getting away from her. In the original script, the Cuaron only wrote down that Matt was just passing by, and they kind of like have their like hands a little bit interconnect, but he just flies off the screen. There was not all of that entanglement where Ryan's leg gets caught in that parachute, and when, you know, that Matt Kowalski has to like literally take off, detach himself from her and kind of float away. And that whole dialogue, you can hear, if you read it again, it's her like talking to, almost like talking to her daughter, you know. um, so to me, this movie is not only really cool space odyssey, and I'm not trying to make, you know, connection to 2001, but because that's a totally different.
Noted.
uh, Nothing to compare, not even trying to, but it's a really good story of, you know, how you overcome the human trauma, how do you deal with that, the emotional psyche, like void that something like this can create in you, and then how do you keep on living with it. So to me, that's what the basic of this movie is, and that's how it's drawn on a screen for 90 minutes, and her like surviving this whole event. So that's my like kind of first take on it. I'm trying to give you like the way out to start bashing the whole thing. So
Listen,
I will come back to it.
I mean, you pointed out the fact that motion sickness, and for those listening and that were watching us, I've seen this movie 2 times. One in theaters, and the second time I watched it this past weekend to get ready for the show. I saw this movie in theaters when it got released in 2013. I saw the trailer. I was expecting maybe something a little bit more adventurous in a sort of way, you know, something, you know, like if you see other space movies like Apollo 13, you know, there's like more drama behind it, and it's more kind of like edge of the seat kind of thing. So I watched this movie in 3D, and I got motion sickness out of it. Like the first 12 minutes of this movie, for those who don't know, Alfonso Cuarón was very known for having very long continuous shots. No, single takes. No, he doesn't cut for a period of time, and like from a director standpoint, that's amazing. You know, and any actor that works with him is magnificent, because you know, to be recording your scene for 12 minutes straight without a single cut. You know, as an actor, you have to make sure you don't miss your mark. You got to memorize your lines, because if you mess up one line, then that's it. You got to start all over again, right? So from that technical standpoint, fantastic. Cuaron is known for that. There's a very popular scene in Children of Men, the car chase scene, that's just one single take as well. So if you ever seen that movie, that's another trademark of his. But I got motion sickness watching this movie. I watched it in 3D because 2013, that was the whole hype of watching a movie in theater, was in 3D, Dolby Vision and 4K. That wasn't like still on there. And there's just in those 12 minutes, they're continuously spinning and moving all around in space. I get the idea. Yes, you're in space. You're like, there's no gravity, that you're floating around. Listen, if I'm going to pay to see a movie and get dizzy, I'd rather just get on a fucking roller coaster, okay? And go up and down, and I'll probably have more fun. For me, this movie, thank God it's 90 minutes long, because for me, the story doesn't do it. I mean, I understand, I respect your opinion. Like, it's not your typical space story. It's more of a emotional and personal story. But if I'm gonna watch a space movie, I want it to be about space. If I want to watch a drama, I watch something with Meryl Streep on there or something else. Okay. I there's a point in the movie where I passed out, and I watched it the second time, and I passed out. I'm pretty sure I passed out in the same scene that I passed out in theaters. So, first 12 minutes of the movie, it's intense, a lot of spinning, and it keeps you there, right? Yes, I got most of it, but after that, for me, it just drags. And I just can't see, like, visually, it's a great movie. Like, Emmanuel Lubezki does an amazing job as a cinematographer in this movie, and he is, for those who don't know, he's a very famous Mexican. I was just about to say he's a very Mexican cinematographer. Yes, he's Mexican.
You can say that, I think. I cannot.
That's because we look alike doesn't mean we're from the same country.
Again, you said that.
So Emmanuel Lubezki is a very famous cinematographer from Mexico. He's worked a lot with Cuaron. You know, they worked together in Children of Men, A Little Princess, and he's done other works as well. Sleepy Hollow with Tim Burton. But he was the first cinematographer to win 3 Oscar trophies 3 years in a row. He won for Gravity in 2013. He won for Birdman in 2014. And then he won in 2015 for The Revenant. All right. So he has been nominated multiple occasions. He's only won 3 times in a row. But other famous nominations of his, I got IMDb pulled up here, because it's very interesting. He's been nominated for Children of Men, Tree of Life, The New World, Sleepy Hollow, and Little Princess. Those are his other nominations.
That's an impressive list.
And that's just his nominations. No, he's done work with, like I said, numerous films that we all know. Pull up a random one real quick. I found it very interesting. Burn After Reading. We talk about a lot about that movie. He was the photographer for that movie, director of photography in that movie. Ali, with directed by Michael Mann. He was the photographer in that one too. Meet Joe Black, and The Birdcage, among his most popular one. And he also was a director of photography in the indie movie Reality Bites with Ethan Hawke and Ben Stiller. That was one of his first credits. So
I think I ever seen that one.
Visually, amazing movie. I will not take that away from Gravity. It's a great movie visually. It's a very from a technical standpoint, it deserves all the Oscars that it won technically. Cuarón won for Best Director, well deserved. He didn't really have a strong competition that year in the Oscars. I just pulled it up. Obviously you had the names of Martin Scorsese for Wolf of Wall Street and David
12
Russell,
Years of Slave,
Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave. But if anyone was going to beat him, would have probably been Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave.
Right.
But because what Cuarón achieved from a technical standpoint in this movie is probably what gave him the upper hand to win the Oscar for Gravity. But for me, it's just the story doesn't do it for me. Look, I have a science background, and there is a lot of flaws that I see through this movie that I can't. One of my favorite ones, and my wife pointed this out to me when we were watching, it's like there's a point in the movie where she goes, "I got 2% left of oxygen." All right.
Okay.
And
then it's like 30 minutes later.
And he starts having a full conversation with her, like, God damn it, she just told you she has 2% of oxygen. Why do you keep talking to her?
All right, I'll give you that one. And okay. I'll give you a lot more than that. Like there's a lot of, like, her strength, like when she opens up the hatch and she holds on to it.
There's no way you can get out of the capsule like that quick and flooding at the same time when you just landed on Earth.
Okay, not that part. I'm talking about when she's in space, right? Yeah. And she pulls up the hatch. The hatch opens up.
Yeah.
And the air blows from the hatch, and she like grabs onto the the opening, and she does it twice in the movie. Like if you get it once, okay, but she does it twice. She does it on Soyuz station. Soyuz. They always say it's Soyuz. Like it messes me up. Well, obviously I can't say Cuarón's name properly like he's supposed to with the Spanish pronunciation, but it's Soyuz. The station is Soyuz, not Soyuz. Whatever the fuck they say in the movie. But yeah, and then she does the same thing on the Chinese station. So her ability to hold on to things when needed is outstanding. And then again, her things her ability to hold on to things are very lackey, because in the beginning she loses the bolt when the George Clooney character kind of grabs it and pulls it back. So, and then when she's detaching the Soyuz station from
that's my other thing. Like, you're in space. Why does George Clooney have to die? You can just literally pull him with the rope and bring him to you.
Well, in the original script, he just passed through, all right? They needed to add the dialogue, which I was talking to you about. And
I feel like the studio wanted George Clooney to die, and they're like, just kill him, please.
I don't know. Well, another thing from original script, which I haven't mentioned yet, is that Ryan did not have a daughter. So this movie would have been even more dull for you if according to all the sources that I could find, is that Sandra Bullock herself said, hey, listen, you guys on the script pages, you say that I had a dog which died, right?
That would have been.
That's where the John Wick got the fucking idea, you know?
and 3 movies later, we have a franchise.
Right. Anyway, so in the original script, Ryan had a dog, not the daughter. But to give the depth to the character, Sandra Bullock was like, listen, let's give her a daughter who dies. And they're like, obviously, they didn't want to get the whole backstory. So it was a simple way to give the daughter and kill off the daughter on the screen, as well, off the screen, but on the pages is just by, hey, she slipped and she felt, and that was it. So yeah, what's you were about to
that's another thing that bothers me about this movie. Like, we have a group of astronauts in space and they're on a mission.
Right.
How the fuck do they not know anything about each other when they've been training for months for this?
Well, maybe they train in the separate facilities.
No, you train together when you're on a space mission.
How do you know that?
I watch a lot of documentaries.
I was gonna say Mexico don't even have the space fucking stations.
Well, this is not a Mexican movie. This is a Mexican director.
I know, but I'm just saying, you know, they could have missed, you know. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure as an astronaut, if you get selected, they give you a profile of who you're working with, a psych profile, just to make sure you're not going into space with some lunatic.
So at least they give an Indian guy a name. His name is Sharif, right?
Okay.
They took away his
collateral damage, but yeah.
They took away his face by like blowing part of the debris for his skull. When you see, like, that's a pretty fucking gruesome. But then they gave him the picture of his family next to him, so kind of, you know, the trade-off. No face, but the picture of your family floating next to you. And then the quick jump scare that they have for the girl, no-name girl who kind of just floats in the space, and then you got that jump scare.
I remember that scene.
So you have 4 characters. One is the nameless woman floating upside down, dead. Then you have an Indian guy with the family photo attached to him, but no face. Then you have Matt Kowalski, George Clooney, who is telling the stories how he got stood up not once but twice. Like, what the fuck? George Clooney gets stood up.
I feel like I was watching Ocean's 11. Every time that George Clooney spoke, I thought I was watching Ocean's 11 in space.
Brad Pitt
him trying to tell that story.
Yeah, Brad Pitt will appear just
with the speaking of characters, special shout out for those who don't know, Ed Harris has a cameo in the movie.
He's
Mission Control.
He's Mission Control. He's Houston in this scenario. Didn't he do the Mission Control?
He was Mission Control in Apollo 13. He was. Yeah.
Wasn't he? I seen on the back of your Tommy Lee Jones is on the screen.
No Country for Old Men.
Right, and it reminds me of that movie with Clint Eastwood they did about the astronauts.
Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Ed Harris in that one too, or was he too young for that?
No, it wasn't. I think it was Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland, Clint Eastwood, and I think James Garner. were the four main characters in Space
Right,
Cowboys.
right.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they were all
old back then, but now they still here and they fucking old as fuck. That movie was made
James Garner passed
1990.
away about probably 5 years ago, I think. And on Clint Eastwood still rocking. He's like 90 years old, still rocking. Tommy Lee Jones is almost 90 and still rocking, and Donald
Right.
Sutherland is still rocking. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so back to
Gravity.
misfortunate.
Another thing I have to pick with you. This movie, again, was released in 3D in 2013.
I never watched it in 3D, so don't you start with me.
I watched it in 3D. Okay.
Well, good for
it
you.
was 2013. It was the hype. We had a point where we sold 3D TVs, and this movie was a Blu-ray 3D that everybody fucking bought. I don't know why. They better be burning those Blu-rays now because it's worthless. Anyways.
You're really angry.
3D effects in this movie. The fucking tears don't float in space.
Really? What?
They don't. I actually did research on this because I was curious.
Because I'm sure the water floats. I've seen multiple shots of water floating. So what would be
if
the
you
tear?
shoot it does. Tears, if they run through your face, I've seen footage of NASA astronauts like doing the thing, and it stays on your face.
Oh,
yeah.
But it was cold. It was a frozen tear. You can see outside of the Soyuz station. There's like a.
That's a tear in space.
That's everybody who bought the fucking Blu-ray 3D DVD.
Go get your money back.
This is how their faces look now. Never watched it in 3D. The only true movie which I can say that was amazing in 3D and everybody can agree was Avatar. Are they releasing the new ones in 3D as well? Or what the fuck is gonna go there?
I don't think so. I don't think 3D is a technology that's been phased out. I mean, there's still movies that they release out there, but I don't think it will be. I think it might be like 4K / Dolby Vision. So when that movie ever gets released. In fact, I mean, a lot of people are still waiting for Avatar to get a re-release in 4K.
It was. I actually don't think I ever watched Avatar not on the movie theater. Like. I tried to see it and it just looks totally different. Like the colors are different, the whole perspective.
You should check it out on your TV. It might look good.
Dude, Gravity looks fantastic on my OLED, but we are all about QLEDs nowadays, okay? To be selling QLEDs.
Paid sponsors by Samsung.
Yeah, the new QLEDs are coming out, guys. If you want to check them out, come see me.
Listen, another thing that and I was watching this. I always laugh. I've seen this movie again 2 times. When she jumps out of the satellite to go into the Chinese one,
right? She
grabs the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, and
I always think about WALL-E at that point.
Yes,
like
it is WALL-E scene. I'm gonna give you that one too. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with everything that you bring into the movie. Like but to me, it's like it's like a guy who has a girlfriend and everybody knows she's not the most like attractive of the bunch, right? She's a good girl, and we're happy for the guy because the guy, maybe never would have had a girlfriend anyway. So like that's kind of my feeling towards Gravity. Like, it's maybe not the best, not the most attractive, not most magnificent, but it's like it's my movie. Like, I like it. I play it. It has that drama effect to me. It also came out like my dad passed away and that was the movie, and well, unfortunately he decided to take his own life. So to me, like, this was the movie where I watched it and I'm like, well, this is how you, instead of pulling the switch, this is how you go through and live at the end, so it was a sentimental aspect, and all of the flaws that you mentioned, they are there. You cannot deny them. They're on the screen, but I overlook all of them, and it's the soundtrack, the visuals, the super simplistic story, like her at the end, her monologue when she finally decides that she's gonna go through, and she says, "Hey Matt, you can do me one more favor. When you see a girl, her name is Sarah. Her hair is all messed up. That's how she likes it. tell her I find her shoe, and it's like another, like it's always I go and I think about it, like if she, so the girl apparently uh lost her favorite shoe. Her favorite red shoe turned out to be under the bed, and then she went to school or kindergarten, and she slipped and fell. But if she would have had that shoe, maybe she lived. So it's like, I don't know, just an extra teardrop which is gets frozen to my face.
Now I feel a little bit bad because I didn't know you had a sentimental attachment to this movie. But
well, like, I mean, I don't want to like to throw every sentimental attachment I have and and kind of like, this is what
hashtag Go Fish Olympics.
Yeah, like like every like, I mean, we talk movies, like, and movies what makes us, and I'm sure you have, like, you and me argued about Goonies. No, never seen it, never gonna watch it. Or if I watch it, it's just gonna be like,
we're gonna make an episode of the Goonies just for you to watch it.
Right. Anyway, so I understand everything where everybody is coming from, and I'm not trying to push it down anybody's throat to be like, you must watch this movie. It's a masterpiece. To me, it is in some dimension. It's a very well done from technological standpoint. The story is compelling to me. It's a fight to survive, not only externally, internally, physically, and psychologically. That's all it is. Like, to me, it's like it's a good way to watch that and be like, if I'm in a very bad mood, if I'm very depressed, and I'm like, especially if I want to, well, I never wanted to do anything to myself, but if I do, like, this girl goes through all of these struggles. She fights every single odd which is stacked against her up until the end of the movie, right? And like, to me, when she got she got out of space and she lands in the fucking water. I don't know if it's an ocean, if it's a lake, if it's whatever, but it's some kind of massive water pit. And then she's sinking, and you see that amphibian, just a freaking frog, just kind of chilling, swimming by her. Like, I'm just here, right? And this girl is struggling to getting out of her suit, getting out. And yes, I agree. Like, the people who spend a lot of time in space, their muscles are completely like unfunctional, so she couldn't, get up that quick. But the point that he's trying to make here from this artistic standpoint is that, all right, so life on Earth, technically speaking, came from space, right? We weren't like really born here. Like, the theory, like, I mean, nobody knows how we got here. God created us, all right. But in scientific version, one of the versions is that some kind of meteor got hit and was one of the cells were created in the water, and then from that cell, you had two cells, and then so on, and then you had some kind of fishes, which you're doing fish Olympics, and then one of the fishes decided to jump to the land, and then here you go, you got little crawling things, and then they evolved into apes, and from the apes they evolved. And hey, don't hold me accountable for this. This is just a theory, okay? But here you can see it, like, again, you have Sandra Bullock flying from space, hitting the water, crawling out of the water. You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
So kind of like evolution. And she gets up and she's hunching, because the original humans, apes, were hunching. And then she stands tall. And here you go, like life as we know it. So that's another aspect. And I read, actually, it was the Path Labyrinth director. What's his name?
Guillermo del Toro.
Thank you. That was the right pronunciation. I didn't want to say it myself because I would butcher that name. He there's a tweet where he writes down that the studios were pushing to Cuarón, saying, hey, listen, we need you to, at the end, that people know that she got saved, because you put her through hell. We need a helicopter in the shot. And he's like, fuck you, no. So he told the studio, like, no, I'm not releasing no scenes with a helicopter. And they're like, okay, all right, or at least let us hear the helicopter in the background. he's like, no, like that's not happening. And they're like, well, at least let's give her some gear with like equipment, like a radio that she can radio somebody out, because like nobody knows she fucking flew back, because there was never a radio connection. She always says like, silence Houston, blah blah blah. And he said, no, like this is not what movie is gonna be about. So technically speaking, she stood tall and proud, but there's like, she needs to figure out how to get to civilization from that standpoint. That could have been like Gravity too, you know.
I would have not paid to see Gravity 2. Hell no. Hell no.
Just saying, you know, that's a possibility. So yeah, doing like the research and finding out all about this, it was fun. It was a really fun experience for me, and I still stand by saying that this movie I'm gonna die on this hill. Okay, this is a great movie. I'm gonna be rewatching it going forward. You can skip this one.
Yeah, I will definitely. I did it for the love of cinema and the love of making this show with you, but that's it. I'm not watching that movie again. But look, besides me bashing the movie, like, there's one thing I do like about it. It's obviously, like, it does have some inaccuracies from a science standpoint, but the biggest one, like not the biggest inaccuracy, but the biggest thing they got right is like the whole fact that there is no sound in space. All right, space is nothing. It's space, period. Like, and when you're watching this movie, you don't hear like the jetpack thing going off or them tinkering. Like, you only hear it because it's kind of like a reflex from like their suits from them hearing it in.
Right.
But like, you don't hear the crash when the space debris starts hitting the satellites. You don't hear nothing like that. And the reason I bring this up is because the music composer, the music in this movie just ties into that good perfectly. Like, I'm giving you space, there's no sound, but I'm gonna give you music for you to go along with the story, and I applaud that, because the one good thing about the movie, it's the end, obviously, because it's ending, and I've been sitting for 90 minutes watching this, but the compositional piece that's attached to the ending when she's arriving to Earth, it's very motivational. I can feel like motivating myself if I'm like struggling on something, and if I listen to that, I can feel like I'm gonna persevere and lift myself up and finish what I'm doing, right? So it's a great composition. So hands down to the composer of which I actually thought it was Hans Zimmer, and it's not. For some reason, I thought it was, because it sounded very familiar to him. But the composer of this movie is Stephen Price,
and he got an Oscar for that one.
Yep.
When they're making the sounds for the movie, I saw that they were like submerging the guitar in the water to give like that I guess that, you know, extra layer of the sound, which would be not from the world. Okay. And yeah, absolutely, like you 100% nailed it. Like, the soundtrack to this, it's very moving, and that final scene when she like flies into with all the, you know, debris, that scene is like, yes. And when she stands up and the music just picks up, it's a very inspirational.
In fact, Stephen Price, I'm looking here, and it makes sense now. He has composed the music for TV shows like Our Planet, which are shows, documentary series that are narrated by David Attenborough.
He did Baby Driver.
The reason I say silent, because I know you didn't like that movie, because you expressed your hateness for it when we were at work the other day. So.
Right. I expressed it like I did not hate the music. The music part was great.
Okay. Apparently he did Suicide Squad.
Right?
No, look, he did Fury.
Now, Fury is a great movie, except the the accuracy where the tracers, every third fucking bullet flies looks like a Star Wars lightsaber.
That's the only bad thing about that movie. I've always find that like
it's just hilarious. Like you watch all the the war movies, and then you watch Fury, and you're like, when did Darth Maul fucking start loading these fucking shots with his lightsaber?
So I don't know if you mentioned. So I know you told me at work personally that the title of the movie is not related to science.
To me, I believe like the movie should be thought like fighting depression, because this girl is clearly depressed and she has clearly the issue and she needs to deal with it. And the way that the movie deals with it is through her going through this stress. And gravity has nothing to do with movie. Like,
obviously, I mean, they're in space. There's no gravity in space.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, like it was play on words. Like what the gravity to me, it's like it's what brings human back to in working condition as a human, right? Because if you're going through trauma like this, you're not yourself. You're not your typical. Everything changes about you, right? When people are in a depressed state, they're not themselves, right? And for a long time, like I couldn't grasp like how a person can do that to themselves and how the person can do that to the loved ones, right? And it's not their decision at that moment anymore, because they are gone mentally, right? They are no longer present.
Yeah.
So they had to go through some kind of psychoevaluation and self-healing process. And in this scenario, like we see her going through literally surviving space, right? In order for her to let go of that tragedy that she endured. And so that's to me is like the gravity just does not reflect the name of her emotional distress. So it had to be like I was contemplating on a different ways to call that, but like I think like the subplot to this story, it is about getting your mental health back, right? And that's like it's important issues. It's important thing to when people deal with that, and to be like, I don't know even if anybody is able to help you in that stage, in that condition, but like always always ask for help, or always if there's somebody going through that, like offer them. I mean, I don't know how much it will do, because the people who get help, they get help, we don't know why. But people who don't get help, and there's a lot of people who just decide to go the other way, just don't, right? Like to me, it's like just watch Gravity. Like it will maybe get you back to track to start healing. And that's the important thing about this message, at least to me, right? Like healing is possible, and no matter what trauma, no matter what event you went through life, ending your own life, it's not, it's an option, but it's not the only one. So that'll be the message for me from this movie, and my message to the people who struggle. And I dabble in depression myself. I'm not gonna be the one who's be like everything is daisies and roses in my life. Mm-hmm. No, like we all go through darker times, and it's good to have any support system. Like if you have a support system in your own music, in your movies, in your hobbies, in your art, like whatever it is, that's good. But if you have somebody you can reach out to, that's also a possibility. And I think like down to the core, people are, for the majority part, are good. And there are a few bad rotten apples, but don't reach out to them. Which can, like, we talk about this stuff, and it brings me back to like that documentary, I Love You Now You Die. It's like, yeah, that's the opposite of fucking people who help. Well, I mean, she helped, but she helped
the wrong way,
right? Yeah. So yeah, definitely. That's kind of where I stand with this 90-minute movie. And yeah, it's only 90 minutes, but remember, there was times when we played it 6 times through the loop on the home theater TV.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Once upon a time, we used to record time based on how many times we play a movie, and it was shifts. So Gravity would play 6 times, and the movies we had was Gravity, San Andreas, which we watched probably like gazillion times.
Yeah, and then Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim was another one. Yep. Yeah. And Gravity was the shortest one. So I remember you only could sneak in 4 times of San Andreas, thank God. But yeah, she looks great in that movie.
She does. All right. So listen, my final thoughts on this is like, I do respect the different view that you have brought up about this movie. Not like I'm gonna watch it again.
You can think about it differently now, though.
It does. You know, like you telling me all this, like it does make me look at the story in a different way. But I think I've gathered so much hate for this movie that I'm not gonna watch it again. But I do respect what you bring, and I do, in a way, agree with you. I can totally see that throughout the story based on what I watched recently. For those listening, look, I don't like the movie. The Russian likes it. Don't go watch the movie. Don't go off based on my objections. I don't think
ever go by our opinions, like, because we are live movies. Like, to us, like, watching the movie 5 times is just getting started, right? So, like, don't take our opinions in any way. Just like, you either enjoy it or you don't. Like, we're just gonna give you, like, this is what we think the movie is about or what the message is. But one more thing, like, I wanted to kind of, like, I was gonna mention it in the beginning, but I guess, like, I will mention it at the end now, is that I recently watched a Russian critic who, like, all his life, he's a professional movie critic, right? And I'm gonna paraphrase, but his message was like, listen, after the movie is done and it's released, okay, that movie is no longer belongs to the author. His message no longer belongs to the movie, right? Because it's a done product. And when you, as a viewer, see it, it's what you take from that movie is the message, right? It doesn't matter what the plot was, or what the story was, or what the director, the cinematographer, the scriptwriter tried to include in that. It's no longer theirs, because the final product is what you see, right? And that's how you're going to determine what it is. If Ruben does not like this movie, it's fantastic. It's great, because that's what he takes from this. If I love that movie, it's also fine. And however you view a movie, it's like, it's your opinion, right? It's your decision. It no longer anybody can tell you, like, what this is. And that's how you should, like, view. Like, you showed me the picture, right? And like the one that was drawn, and I'm like, 500? Yes, 550. Like, in my objective opinion, that's the work of art. I will hang it on the wall right there next to the Joker. It's gonna be, if you, I'll buy it to you for $75 certificate.
Sold.
Get it done.
In fact, I'm gonna have Johnny make you one special just for you.
No. I want that one. I don't want that one. Is already in. Already picturing that on my wall, because that's, to me, that's a piece of art, right? And that's the whole point. The movies they don't belong to directors. They don't belong to the producers. They don't belong to studios. They belong to us, to viewers. And if we view it and we like it and we call it art, then so be it, right? And that's my kind of afterthought. We can start wrapping this up.
So, final thoughts. Watch the movie. It's 90 minutes long. It's, besides us debating on it, it's a movie that has definitely impact. You know, the way space movies are done. What Alfonso Cuarón did in this movie was not tried in previous movies in the past. You know, yes, you see 2001 Space Odyssey. It's the space movie that started the space movie. You know, because of that, you know, we have Star Wars, we have Star Trek, all these other universes, you know, and on film and on TV. You know, Apollo 13. Like, we have been able to bring stories to life regarding space adventures or true stories. But Gravity achieved something in cinematic history that was not done before. And that's where this movie stands. And this is why we chose the movie, despite the fact that we were going to debate on it. But it's the reason it's in our podcast. It has impact movie culture. You should give it a shot if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, maybe try watching it from the Russian's point of view. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe it will enhance it even better for you. If you don't like it, then move along. There's other movies out there, and close that chapter in your book.
What are we doing next, Ruben? What have we?
Next week, I figure we would do a little bit something more gruesome, twosome. So we're going to tackle Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs.
You see, I struggle with the name, that Reservoir Dogs. Like
Reservoir Dogs.
You see, like I can't say that. You coming up with the names like Gravity was easy. I can say Gravity, Reservoir Dogs, Incredible Reservoir.
God damn it! Now you got me. It's Reservoir Dogs. I don't care how it's pronounced.
Goldfish
That's how I
Olympics.
Pronounce it. Okay. Hashtag Goldfish Olympics. That was Tarantino's first film. And it had a bunch of actors that are very well known now, including Steve Buscemi, Tim Roth, Harvey Keitel, Michael Madsen, who went on to make a lot of movies with Quentin Tarantino. And this is the movie that introduced Hollywood to the audience and who is the Quentin Tarantino.
Good.
So that's going to be next week's episode. All right. Is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap up?
No, thank you, everybody who is listening. There should be at least 2 people, your wife and my mom, who listens till the end. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for those who keep listening and then just pause and then forget about us, can you please tell your friends and family about this so we can get some more views and subscribers?
Right.
And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe on YouTube. We're on your favorite podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just listen to us. Give us some comments. We were averaging about 50 views, so thank you all for those who are watching us.
Who are these 50 people? I'll
take it. We're averaging 50, but if you're out there, give us a shout. Give us some comments.
Yeah,
I
just hope you guys are entertained. Like this is all about. We are, as you can see. I think we're getting a lot more comfortable in our own zones, in our own bubbles, and we're more or less stressed because we know like at least 2 people gonna watch it. So that's good enough for me, Ruben.
A special shout out to Just Chilling Entertainment, who edits and posts all of our videos and audio and podcast and YouTube. Special shout out to that team back home who helps us.
Check their other channels, please.
We have other podcast channels that you guys can check out. Majority of them are in Spanish, all right, but we'll try to branch out. We will create something more content in the future for English language for those who don't understand Spanish. But again, thank you so much for tuning in, listening, watching us. This has been MovieByte on Gravity.
And we'll see you guys next week with the fantastic Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino. All right, guys and girls, we'll see you all next week.
See you guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.